Okay. KTT, new episode once every 2 weeks. This is episode 32. I am Drift. I'm joined by my co-host.
It's your boy Xero.
That's how we're bringing it in. That's the energy that we have today. Before we get into the episode properly, like, comment, subscribe, all of that helps the algorithm, helps us, help you, all of that. So, we're going to start with One Piece.
All
You
right.
feel me? And I've been kind of sat there thinking for a little while now. You get me? I didn't really want to bring it up too soon. Feel me? I wanted to let them breathe, and by them I mean the God's Knights, right?
Okay.
So, with how late it is in the story, yeah, because most people kind of understand now, like especially if you're a manga reader of One Piece, yeah, you kind of understand that we're in the last 20% of the story right now. You feel me?
Right.
Cool. So because the God's Knights have been introduced this late into the story, they're kind of the last villain group that we expect to see, right?
Okay.
Cool. Right? So the question I have here is, with the introduction of them and their appearance on ELBAPH, right? As part of the arc, do you see either Summers, sorry, not even either, you know what I'm saying? Let me rank it up. Do you see Summers and Killingham passing away on ELBAPH, or do you see them surviving? And if you do see them surviving, I would also level the same question about Scopper Gabon.
Right.
You get me? So there is a reason I'm asking, but I want to pick your brain initially. What are you thinking?
All right. So what I'm thinking is quite rightly, like you said, they are a recent addition to the story. Okay. So before we even continue, God's Knights are Holy Knights.
I think it is God's Knights. I think it's God's Knights.
It says God Knights, innit? But I've heard referring to him as Holy Knights as well. So like, I think maybe the Viz or something.
Yeah,
like
I mean,
that
I think
Holy Knights.
I think if people are calling them Holy Knights or God's Knights, it's the same effect as some people that call the Shinju, and Divine Trees. You get me? I still know who you're referring to. You get me?
Call the Shinju the Divine Trees. I'm disgusted at you.
Like,
No,
I mean, truth, but
I'm judging you. I'm judging you.
But that is what they're called. You know what I'm saying? Like, they are called Divine Trees. It's just between Divine Trees and Shinju. Shinju just sounds like a better name. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
So even if it is the Holy Knights, God's Knights does kind of sound better to me, at least. You feel me? But,
so you prefer God's Knights?
Yeah, I kind of prefer God's Knights. I feel like it sits better with the whole ideology of them being celestial dragons who are gods. You know what I'm saying? Yada, yada, yada. But yeah, go on.
All right, cool. All right, so thanks for that.
No worries.
Right, so yeah, they're recent additions to the story, and deaths in One Piece tend to have meaning, have impact.
I'm glad you touched on that. Facts,
right?
Facts.
So we have Otohime dying in Fishman.
Right.
We have King Riku dying at the Reverie, not on, he died at Marijois.
Yeah, Marijois.
But died at the Reverie. You had Saturn dying on Egghead.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So all of those events, Fisher Tiger, those deaths had meaning.
And significance, yeah.
Right? So I don't feel the God Knights, particularly Killingham and Sommers, really have that kind of weight. So defeated, absolutely. That's just how the story's gonna go.
Okay.
Right? What the ending looks like post that defeat, anybody's guess, but they will be defeated. You know? We all know that. So no, I don't see either of them dying. It would make more sense for Scopper to die.
Okay, cool. Now, hear me, right? The reason I asked is because if you don't see them dying, right? And of course, me, I can't lie to you, I'm 50-50. You know what I'm saying? I can see a future where they both leave ELBAPH. I can see a future where they both biff it here. You know what I'm saying? But if they don't die, but we lose Scopper, how would you feel about that in regards to like ELBAPH as an arc? You know what I'm saying? Because like the ops aren't down anybody, but we are down like somebody that we were recently properly introduced to. You know what I'm saying? So how would you feel about that?
That's the other aspect of it as well. Yeah. We got introduced to Scopper at the not as the exact same time, but basic in the same way. We know about Scopper, but now we know Scopper.
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm gonna say? Like, so we've known about Scopper, we've seen him in the flashbacks,
and that's why I was like,
so, right? So we've known about him, but we also now met him in the flesh.
Yeah, that's what I mean by now he's been properly introduced.
Cool.
You feel
me? Yeah, I still think it would make more sense in terms of impact and memorability.
Definitely.
If Scopper was the one that passed away in this arc.
Definitely.
Versus Killingham and Summers.
I mean, what I'll say is, sorry to cut you off, you know what I'm saying? Okay. What I'll say to hit back at that point is, right, what my lane of thinking on that is actually low-key, I wouldn't say the opposite, you feel me? But I'm more comfortable with the idea that we lose all three. You feel me? Like, I feel like that to me would, as like for the arc itself, it would balance out the losses pretty well. You know what I'm saying? Like both groups, both parties, both us and the ops would feel like we've lost some meaningful people. You get me? Because the only reason I was questioning whether or not they were even gonna die to begin with is because they've been introduced so late into the story, and they do represent the last villain group of strength and
introduction to.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And introduction to them. But at the same time, irrespective of that, right? It's still a clash between their man and ours. You know what I'm saying? So on some level, it would kind of bother me if we just lost Scopper Gabon and they didn't at least lose a God's Knight. You get me? So like, and much to the point that you said, because Kiilingham and Sommers, like, yes, they're a part of the God's Knight, right? But they aren't super impactful characters to the story. They don't have the weight of like an ace. You get me? They don't have the weight of like an ace, right? So that's kind of why I can see, for that reason, that they do kind of possibly die here. You get me? They're the first two outside of Gonko and obviously Shamrock. There's a reason Shamrock being the first one that we see, but he very quickly left the island because they didn't want to float the idea that Shamrock was going to die here.
Which is something we postulated
before. Like, and something that we did like touch on before. You feel me? So that's kind of why I think, the fact that we've introduced Kiilingham and Sommers here, we want to show the readers, yo, the God's Knights are here, they are on the move. But at the same time, in this arc, we might see one off or both of them die. I don't think Gunko's going anywhere. You know what I'm saying?
Fine.
But I can see Kiilingham and Sommers or Sommers dying simply to let the readers know, hey, just because they're the last villain group and they're kind of like, they're super strong, it doesn't mean that they're infallible. You feel me? Like, they touched down, they tried to run the ones of our people and they paid the price. You get me? It's just on the back end of that, so did we, if we lose Copper Gabon. You feel me? So that's why I'm like, I suppose I asked the question because I would be cool with either, depending on how you approach it.
Right.
You get me? If we keep Kiilingham and Sommers, right, for usage at a later date, I'm cool with that. You get me? If we lose Scopper, I just want you to make sure that it's done in a proper way. Because again, like we correctly said, it's our proper introduction to Scopper now, and it's our first proper introduction to the God's Knights. So it's fair if one person from either party like kind of biffs it, right? But it is gonna kind of piss me off if we lose yet another member of the fucking Roger Pirates and the ops walk away scot-free. You get me?
I understand.
Like,
I understand.
It already kind of pisses me off. Don't get me wrong. Like, fucking us losing Ace and I kind of walking away with nothing but scars pissed me off. He didn't even walk away with scars.
He didn't even get nothing from
He didn't
that.
even get that from fucking Marineford. He got that from Punk Hazard.
W man for that, by the way.
Come on, my nigga. You know what I'm saying? My nigga. You feel me?
He lost, but
like,
still.
But like I say, like, man took his fucking L and left the fucking and left the Marines.
On some principle shit.
I stood like, I fuck principle shit. I fuck with that. Man stood on it. Man, I was like, bro, we gonna run these ones, and if you win, I'm leaving because I am not serving underneath you as Fleet Admiral. Ain't no fucking way. Especially after what we saw in O'Hara. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, ain't no fucking way. But different discussion. You feel me?
Yeah.
I say all of that to say, like, at the same time, when we lost Ace, it kind of pissed me off that we lost Ace and that nigga I kind of walked away scot-free.
Sure.
And I feel like in this, like, it's a similar vein to me. You get me? If we lost Copper Gabon here and both of these God's Knights just walk off free, I'm gonna be pissed.
So that's what I can't see. I can't see us losing Scopper, like actually dying. Right? I can't see Scopper dying and the God Knights walking free. No. So what you said there about that, saving them for a later date, but Scopper still dies. Nah, that would rub me the wrong way. Do you understand? That would fundamentally rub me the wrong way. But
like, really and truly, what I am like saying here is, like, I can see an avenue for either happening though.
I mean, of course.
You get me?
If one of them, for example, gets Scopper, right? And then they manage to make it off ELBAPH. That sets up then maybe somebody from the new Giant Pirates to then run the ones with whoever killed Scopper down the line on some like
however they handle it.
I can see that, but I'm still saying, like, I would absolutely hate that.
That's what I'm saying. It would piss me off. It would piss me off.
Absolutely hate that.
Despite the fact that
if we lose Scopper, but both lose, right? They don't get to leave because obviously it's not like a pirate. Where the Marines come eventually and then they arrest them and and these knights are not gonna go impel down.
Yeah, in all likelihood, if you lose on ELBAPH for any reason, you're probably gonna die here.
You know what I'm saying? You're either die here or you're gonna stay in ELBAPH jail.
Yeah, I mean, the reason I said die here is because I think if I feel like if one of these God's Knights niggas die, they're gonna go the way of Saturn. You know what I'm saying? Like the localized just disintegration. That's what I'm saying. I'm like,
possibly.
If you man
all right,
die
cool.
Here,
so that point that kind of brings me to the next point I wanted to make really about Saturn. So Oda might be changing up how he does it. Because like I said, death generally had impact. You understand? One of the biggest ones was like Pell, and even Pell turned out not to have died. You understand? So when these people die, they kind of die for a purpose, for a reason, and it served the story. We still don't know if Big Mom's dead. We still don't know if Kaido's dead. You understand? That nigga got punched in lava, and we still don't know if he's dead.
He's still out here. You understand?
So for us to get concrete death on some dolo shit, like dead ass, right? I feel like it'd probably have to be more Scopper if a death is gonna occur. right? I more see the God Knights losing and just being locked up on ELBAPH. Because like I said, they're not going Impel down. The Marines are not coming to them. I mean, not like that. You understand? So with the way Saturn died, very graphic, I would say. You understand? Like his whole essence.
For a One Piece. You
understand? For One Piece, graphic essence melted away, rotted, and skeleton and all that kind of stuff. Oda might be switching it up, boy. So can a death occur at this point?
If anything,
definitely.
it's because of imagery like that. You know what I'm saying? It's because of imagery like that and character usage like that kind of makes me even ask these questions. You get me? If a nigga like Saturn, who we've known about for like 20 plus years now, IRL, you feel me?
And he also died in his introductory arc.
You feel me?
So that's known about guy, but bro stepped on pitch and he left.
And same the Gorosei are above the Gods Knights in terms of hierarchy in verse. You feel me? So that's why I'm like, you feel me? So like, if a nigga like Saturn in his actual introductory arc can die in the way that he died, right? It's kind of what makes me think, damn, the two Gods Knights, maybe we're seeing you so early in the arc, and I say early mighty loosely here, you feel me? Maybe we're seeing them so early in the arc because this is our introduction, you're gonna like use this time to kind of get to know their personalities or whatnot, and then when you might get into your clashes, this is where you're gonna kind of die, because obviously there's still a handful of Gods Knights that still need their time, you feel me? If you kill two men here, we kind of see what we're seeing with them, they die here, we now know, okay, cool, whoever's coming next it's likely going to be stronger than these two, man. And
they're going to be on stuff. Like, hey, God Knight die? No way. Impossible. So now it's like, yo, I'm actually stepping. You man are actually out here killing God Knights. Like, I'm on you.
We be on your ass now. You get me? And in terms of writing, it's not like you've thrown these two characters away. Like, you've given them their introductions. This is them in their arc. If they get their clashes, they get their clashes. They died in the arc. And it's okay if they die to me because they aren't a Saturn. You get me? You're God's Knights, you're important, so you're going to be treated as such, like in the arc, but not so much that you're infallible. If Saturn can die in his introductory arc, I don't see why it's impossible that the God's Knights can as well. I know that's not what you're saying. You feel me?
But that's exactly why I brought up the Saturn thing. You understand? It's not impossible for them to die. You get me? But because of how Oda's treated death so far, I don't really feel death.
But this is the thing. This is the thing,
right?
I
don't really feel it yet, but like, could be changing.
One of the reasons I do think, like, one of the reasons I am kind of open to the idea of like one of or both of them dying is because it's a way of thinning out the fucking characters in the story, right? While still keeping shit moving forward. Because if they don't die here, then the question of Summers and Saturn later on still a thing alongside all the other Gods Knights we haven't seen who still need their own introductions and shit. You feel me? So that's kind of how I'm looking at it. It's like character usage, time spent with a character, because if they don't die here, then that means cool, they're gonna have to get used at a later date, which is fine, but you still also have to introduce the other Gods Knights.
But they might not. But I'm saying, I'm saying, like, they just might just get locked up in ELBAPH jail, and then that's the end of them.
But this
Seastone probably Seastone Cops probably exist on ELBAPH as well. I mean, they do. Loki was chained up.
Facts, but no, it's not about Seastone. Like, for me, because of the rank that the Gods Knights have, this is what I'm saying. I don't see an imprisonment scenario being a thing for them. I genuinely feel like because you man spawn in on the same fucking pentagram.
So you're saying like with Emu, failure's not an option. You fail, you're done.
My nigga, literally like exactly what you just said. It's because nigga, Saturn failed on fucking Egghead and died for it. You feel me? You man sit underneath Gorosei members in terms of hierarchy. So I feel like if you man have your engagement here on ELBAPH and you lose, you're dying. If the fucking engagement itself doesn't kill you, Emu's probably going to localize disintegrate you. Probably.
Right, so if Emu's the one killing them, then probably. Like, I can more see that than them just dying in like a fight with somebody.
You being imprisoned, I don't really see that happening.
Okay.
Whether or not you die in a fight, like whether or not you die in a fight against a Straw Hat, I mean, I can see that happening. And if you don't die,
probably wouldn't be a Straw Hat. It'd probably be a giant that killed him. It probably wouldn't be a Straw Hat.
Stay with me, right? Even if you have your engagement with a Straw Hat, right? Assuming you don't die in that engagement, you know what I'm saying? Emu's probably gonna kill you after the fact. You get me? So that's what I'm like. You're either gonna likely die in engagement with a Straw Hat, or post that engagement because of the failure, Emu's probably gonna kill you in the same way that he killed Saturn. You get me? Because you both groups, both parties, ported in on the fucking the thingy. You know what I'm saying? The fucking the Abyss Mark, I think it's called. You feel me? So that's why I feel like Emu probably treats the Gods Knights in terms of like success similarly. You feel me? Like if you turn up, if you're called and you don't perform, you're not escaping.
You're no longer of any use to me.
You're no longer of any use to me.
You're disposable.
You feel me? And if a Gorosei member can get it, I don't see why two Gods Knights members can't. You feel me? So that's why I'm like, hey, so I'm cool with it. I am cool with that happening and Scopper dying. But if Scopper just dies and we don't lose the God Knights, I'm gonna be pissed. You know what I'm saying? Like,
because the power imbalance is still there.
It's crazy.
I agree.
Crazy.
With that.
You get me?
I agree.
Like,
so if Scopper dies, I'm still fine with the imprisonment on ELBAPH aspect of it, right?
Okay.
Because there's a reason why they don't go there generic. The world government and such don't go there anyway. So if they're imprisoned on ELBAPH, it's like they'll stay there, right?
What I'll say is this.
But with the added element of Emu just being able to kill people remotely, you understand? I'd say the likelihood of human dying goes up. You know, I'm not gonna say significantly, but it's more. You understand? So death is definitely likely in that scenario there, yeah. But Scopper dying, more impact to the story, right? And it would make sense for them man there to either die, as you're saying, or for them to be imprisoned and removed from the board entirely. There's no coming back later on to use them down the line. It's the done and done. There's plenty of man that get like beat down and just like, you know, we never see them again because that's the end of it.
When you say that the world government doesn't come to ELBAPH, right? That was the working knowledge pre-ELBAPH. Don't forget, these niggas ported directly to the fucking throne room. You get me? So that's kind of why I'm thinking this way. You get me? I'm like, of course, to the world at large, yeah, the world government doesn't go to ELBAPH. But that speaks to the rank of fucking God's Knights and the fact that unlike regular Marine niggas and like even to the world at large, these men can port directly into places. And look how casually they ported directly to where Loki is. I feel like it's not a situation of them man not going to fucking ELBAPH. It's just they maintain the fucking...
It's more trouble than it's worth, is what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? Like,
okay,
that's what I'm saying. It's like, not like they're shook to go. They kind of are, but it's more trouble than it's worth to go there. So if them man get... if them man get what's it called, incarcerated or locked up there or imprisoned there, that's the only reason, probably won't come get
and that's the only reason I hit back against the imprisonment idea. Do you know what I'm saying? Because I'm like, especially when you're dealing with people of the caliber of ELBAPH, like what man said of ELBAPH, when you're dealing with the caliber of people like the God's Knights, to a nigga like Emu, you're more used to me dead than imprisoned. You feel me? So that's why I'm like, I don't see an imprisonment end game at all, kind of, not gonna lie. You feel me? Simply because of the caliber of individuals we're dealing with here. You feel me? If it was like a Kaido or some shit, clap that nigga in hands. You feel me? Slap some sea stones on that nigga. You feel me? Cool. But because it's the God's Knights, I feel like to Emu, if you man lose on ELBAPH, imprisonment's not gonna be an option for you. Because either you die in your engagement or shortly after it, if you live, you're probably gonna get boom like that. You get me? But obviously, that's just the way I would perceive it. Sure. You get me? But holy. So yeah, cool. Do you have any other thoughts to tack on to the One Piece segment? Because I ain't gonna lie, it's ate up a touch more than it probably should have.
Ah, damn. One of them ones, yeah.
Yeah, man. That's how it be.
Deep and insightful. Fair enough. Nah, not more really to add to that. You know, I already stated my position on it. You know what I'm saying? If that death were to occur, it probably make more sense to me for it to be Scopper because everything the wife, the child, the legacy, as you know, the left-handed. You know what I'm saying? So it would make more sense for him to die in terms of like story impact. Kind of like, you know, that video we watched the other day, talking about how impact would be if, like, Usopp died. In that vein, you know what I'm saying? In terms of character attachment and all that, it would be more meaningful for Scopper to go than the God Knights. But like I said, with the introduction of the Emu just being able to remotely kill people, yeah, bro, I can see you man fucking biffing it at the end of the arc. I can totally see it.
Okay, no worries. So as a final point, what I'll say is this. What you're saying is ELBAPH could potentially do with like an impactful death, because obviously if the Gods Knights die, it won't be impactful. You get me? Right. But if Scopper Gabon dies, it will be an impactful death. So what you're saying is ELBAPH could do with like an impactful death moment like that.
Boy, all right, cool. Let me just like draw a line on this, bro. I don't want none of them niggas to die. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. The God Knights don't give a fuck. I know what you mean. I don't want Scopper to die. Yeah. But if somebody gonna die on that arc, it would have to be somebody like Scopper. You know what I'm saying? So you think the death in the arc has to be an impactful one? Huh? So you think the death in the arc has to be an impactful one? Yeah, we're not talking about just like rank and file Marines getting blown up in the background. No. You know what I'm saying? When I say impactful one, I'm talking like it's always Scopper in relation to the Gods Knights. You get me? So not like rank and file Marines. You get me? I feel the way, because even Saturn's death was impactful. We learned he was an absolute piece of shit the entire time. Huge impact on Bonnie and Kuma's life and a whole host of others. Right. Impactful. Right. When but the difference is with Saturn, we had all of that to kind of make his death impactful. You get me? If the Gods Knights die, that's not an impactful death. So that's what I'm saying. So what I'm saying to you is, so it's like, cool, you feel like the death in ELBAPH has to be an impactful one. If there's gonna be one, yes, it has to be an impactful one. Yeah. Fair enough. It should be. Okay. I hear it. Say no more. I hear it. You know what I'm saying? All right, cool. Obviously, like I said, this ate up way more the pod than we planned to, boy. But is what it is, you get me? Man got stuck in Ferroski. So, catching the next segment, we're going to be talking about Devil May Cry this time, you get me? And then we're going to round it off with some young discussions about the young Lord Boruto. But for now, catching the next segment. Love, back for the second segment. This time around, we're doing something a little different.
Devil May Cry, the anime on Netflix. You get me? If you know, you know. If you don't, we'll get to know. You feel me? But yeah, both big fans of the games. You get me? In terms of like, you know what I'm saying, the video games. It's kind of how we actually, it's how anybody knows Devil May Cry, but what am I saying? But yeah, we're going to be talking about the Netflix version of Devil May Cry. Recently dropped. We have thoughts. I'm going to pass the ball.
Right. So, I just dropped a video on my YouTube channel, BlackStarXero.
Fire video, banger video. Go watch it.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yeah, so that kind of encapsulated most of my thoughts on the anime.
For real.
All right. There are some things that I didn't get to touch on. You know, so I structured the video in such a way that, look, I talked about the stuff that I liked, you understand, and then I talked about the stuff that I didn't like. You know, and I kind of gave my reasons why I didn't like those things and so forth to the best of my, you know, ability.
All right.
So, just a few more things, and to kind of just like sum it up, I like the anime, right?
Okay.
As it was presented.
We're gonna start with that.
As a adaptation of Devil May Cry, what it does to the lore is kind of fucked up. Okay. And it gives a very different flavor to a lot of the established characters.
All right.
Right? Not a lot of those changes are received.
You mean
well received?
Well
received.
Yeah,
sorry,
yeah.
well received. Okay. So, as an example, I kind of started off with this as well. You know what I'm saying? I don't actually hate Johnny Young Bosch as Dante. It's not the greatest, right? But it really didn't bother me as much as I thought it was going to bother me. When I heard it in the trailer,
that's a fact.
I was like, oh my God, that's just Nero. But as I watched the show, it kind of just like became that Dante's voice. Didn't really faze me too much.
All right.
Okay. Then there's like stuff with like Lady, you understand, and how she's portrayed and her origin, absolutely, you know, terrible in my opinion. I had some issues with like the devil trigger, how that was presented in the anime. Didn't get to touch on that in the video, so I can kind of elaborate on that if you want.
No, speak to it right now, because obviously I'm not gonna lie to you. To most fans of Devil May Cry, the devil trigger is a prominent
It's
part
significant.
You know what I'm saying?
So it is significant.
How you feeling about it?
I don't know of like Devil May Cry is one of the first games I ever played in the PS2.
What?
You understand? So I've taken that game with me onwards.
Through the years.
Cool. You understand? And before that, I was playing very crappy handheld games and, you know, like arcade games and shit like that. Yeah, carbonating myself. Look, fuck it, is what it is.
So we have to start somewhere, though.
Cool. So I've never seen another game that had a devil trigger before that time.
Pre this, yeah.
You understand? Before Devil May Cry, I've never seen a devil trigger in a game. So if it exists, so be it.
And if anything, because of Devil May Cry, whenever we've seen anything similar in other games, we kind of call it devil trigger still.
Right. You understand? That's the point I'm trying to speak to. You understand? Like since Devil May Cry, I've seen that little mode. You understand? Kratos has it in God of War. If you look at Metal Gear Metal Gear Revengeance, I'm gonna call it Rising there, the cancelled version, but yeah, Revengeance. If you look at Revengeance, Raiden has that. You understand? All these games now put in some kind of devil trigger-esque feature to kind of give the character a bit of a boost.
What?
You understand? In Devil May Cry, not all of them, but I'd say at least Devil May Cry 3 and Devil May Cry 1.
What?
Yeah. When he gets the devil trigger for the first time, it was kind of a significant event. All right. So think of how Devil May Cry 1, Trish pulls up, she invites him to Malay Island, you know, she does all that, stabs him through the chest with the force edge.
Yeah.
Right? And he gets up and walks that shit off, no devil trigger activate.
Okay.
Right? But you get to Malay Island and I don't know, I don't remember the mission level, but you find Alistair.
Mission 2? If it's not mission 2, it's like
mission
2,
3, somewhere around there. It's fairly early on. You understand? So you get your devil trigger and you remember like how that went down. Flew out, stabbed man through the chest, got man through the floor.
It was a whole lot of spectacle.
Yes, exactly. It was a spectacle. Devil May Cry 3. How did that go down?
No,
Mission 7. I don't even need to question that. I know that one intuitive. Mission 7.
No introduction required.
Cool. Yeah. You understand? How significant was that?
Yeah.
In this one, in the anime adaptation, which is basically adapting Devil May Cry 3.
Okay.
Right?
I'm glad you touched on that point, because I'm going to speak to that.
You understand? You're basically trying to adapt Devil May Cry 3, right? And he activates his devil trigger on a plane. When who is it? Was it Ajni stabs him through the chest?
Yeah. You're on red one. So Ajni, yeah.
Yeah. So Ajni stabbed him through the chest. Because the main villain, White Rabbit, needed him to activate his devil trigger.
What?
It's not something that activated and, you know, kind of awakened in him or nothing like that. It was like, yo, I need this, so I'm gonna force you to awaken.
Okay.
You understand? In terms of the devil trigger's looks itself, I am not overly angry at it. You understand? It seems like a fusion of quite a few things. Devil May Cry 5 and you know, some unique flavorings to it.
I would say it's like a blend of 4 and 5's. So Devil May Cry 4's devil form and the initial form of your devil form in Devil May Cry 5. As a matter of fact, you know what? So it's a blend of your Devil May Cry 4 and Devil May Cry 5, because in 5 the sin devil trigger is the sin devil trigger. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so even the way the coat, the wings kind of fold up and become the jacket. That's very reminiscent of Devil May Cry 4.
Devil May Cry 4.
That's 5, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Maybe
Like
did he? I don't remember him having any devil
Look
trigger
at the
scenes.
If you can remember the coat, I'm not talking about scenes in Devil May Cry 4, but I'm like, when you're running around in his devil trigger, if you look at his coats are usually what become the wings, and ever since
no, always that. I'm talking about, like, all right. So in the anime,
in
the anime, right, when he lands, you see the wings, they fold up and become the jacket, right? There's a scene, and I'm trying to remember if it was Devil May Cry 4 or 5. That's 5 when you see it's
in Devil May Cry 4 and in any other Devil May Cry, in Devil May Cry 4, there is no cinematic in which you see Devil on my devil form Dante. You know what I'm saying? A demonic form of Dante you only see in 3 and 5 in a cinematic sense. You got me? But yeah, continue.
Right. Yes, and so the overall looks of the devil trigger, I'm not too mad at. It looks close enough.
Cool.
You understand? But just the way he activated it and, you know, the circumstances. You have to save a bunch of people in the sky, blah, 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 blah. Looked cool. I said that, you understand? I like that. It speaks to the fluidity and how good the animation is. I'd call the animation good to passing. I won't fight if you want to say it's like just passable. But if you're going to try and say it's bad,
damn,
you understand? We're going to argue there. Passable, I'll allow passable. It looked good to me. I'm not going to talk nonsense, right? So, there's that aspect of it. And then there's the, White Rabbit's whole thing, and I was really rocking with White Rabbit up until we kind of got his backstory. So that would be episode 6 of the anime, right? That was fine. And I didn't get to make this point. I quite like that he wasn't just, maniacal, megalomaniac kind of guy.
Okay.
You understand? I'm after the sword of Sparta to become a god and thingy. Yeah, been done before.
Right.
So I'm quite glad I didn't do that.
Me too, by the way. I can't lie to you. You know what I'm saying? I do like complexity in writing. You get me? And you're like, the White Rabbit is somebody that I would also credit as a character from the Netflix series as well. He's one of my favorite characters because of his backstory. But yeah, you were saying.
Yeah, son. So where kind of dips for me is his overall plan to fuse the worlds together. You understand? Or refuse them. I don't know if it's a separation or a fusion.
To me, it speaks to two things. Like, it speaks to the nuance of the writing of the show, but also obviously inverse, like the retardation of the fucking White Rabbit. You get me? But yeah, go on.
Yeah. Okay, because bro, like, you're running from something, you'll be like, you know what, fuck it. That thing I'm running from, I'm gonna give it a bigger fucking playground.
Like, and that's what I mean.
You understand? That don't make no goddamn sense. But in terms of his personal beef with Lady and Darkham, completely justified in my opinion. I would feel that way if I was put in his shoes.
Why?
Because not only did I not get the chance to plead my case, right? So think back to that episode 6.
Stay on the point of pleading his case, right? Continue.
Yeah. Didn't get to plead his case, right? And then after that, he then gets shot by them and then blown up.
Facts.
You understand? Not to mention witnessing who he would call his family, because these are the people that looked after him and raised him in the demon world. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Witnessing all of them, again, you get in the backstory, how the environment affects them and some of them dying and stuff like that. But these that managed to grow into maturity with him and all that he brought over to witness all of them dying.
And that's what I mean by nuance of the
You understand? So, like, in terms of his personal beef against Lady and Darkham, if that was your angle, I'd have been fine with it. But once you got to, I'm doing it because millions have died in Demon World and you might have it over here too good, I'm like, that don't make no fucking sense.
Yeah, so okay, cool. I hear that, right? I'll hit back on that point because what I'll say is this, right? Of course, inverse, retardation. You get me? Like, me being in real life, if I look at your reasoning inverse, retardation. You know what I'm saying? Right. Stupid as fuck. You get me? But inverse, it's very good writing to me. You know what I'm saying? The reason it's very good writing is because it speaks to the level of desperation that this individual, the White Rabbit, has been pushed to. You know what I'm saying? On top of coming from an abused fucking family household, you know what I'm saying? The hardships of the fucking, like, understanding the plight of the fucking demon world, understanding that not everybody in the demon world is this big, super strong demon that can walk around and throw your shit around. Like, some of them are just what they refer to as Makai. You know what I'm saying? Like, just demonic civilians is what I refer to them as.
Sure.
You feel me? So the reason I call it nuanced writing is because all of that like his plan being what it is, speaks to the level of desperation that this nigga has been driven to. You know what I'm saying? That's how powerfully he feels that what he's doing is the correct way, because look at what humanity has done for me, the White Rabbit. You know what I'm saying? At every single turn, you man have always had me suffering. You get me? I come from an abusive household, and then obviously you already touched on the correct case of the lady. Like, the lady situation was the final nail in the coffin. You get me? To the White Rabbit, at that moment there, I imagine it was like, cool. To me, you niggas in this world, you're the ones that have this shit easy. You man are the ones squandering the shit you have. You man are out here in a world where the air isn't poisonous. You feel me? And in light of that, we're here trying to escape from literal death, and you can't even hear us out. Well, okay, we tried to talk. I tried to talk. You get me? I threw my hands up. The Makai that were behind me, they threw their hands up too. We tried to talk. And the response, like you correctly said, was me ending up with a badly fucking burnt and destroyed body. You get me? And a warped mind.
Piece together body, because obviously he had to fuse demons and shit with
demons
him
and shit
well,
himself.
So,
you feel me?
Some
so that's why I'm like,
body.
That's why I'm like, it's nuanced writing that I like. You feel me? Because all of that speaks to the desperation, the extent that this nigga's mind has been pushed to. You get me? So this human, keep in mind, he started out as a human.
Yeah.
This nigga's mind has become addled to the point that it went from doing shit for a good reason to now seeing it as like, okay, cool. I don't care about the opposite. I don't give a fuck about the human loss of life anymore. You feel me?
I mean, he speaks to that point himself in the story. He's to fight for another world when you've already given up on your own.
When you've already given up on your own. You get me? So that's why I'm like, it's actually that makes the White Rabbit, if not my favorite character from the anime. I mean, come on now. Irrespective of Dante, be so serious. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
If not my favorite character from the anime, one of them, definitely. You get me? Definitely.
White Rabbit, definitely.
Fucking
for me, I said it. You
amazing.
understand? And I think, bro, he kind of carried the anime.
Amazing.
Yeah,
so,
kind of carried the anime.
For me, when I was watching it, don't get me wrong, I initially had some of the issues that you've spoken to as well. You know what I'm saying? When I was watching it, I was very intent on trying to figure out what story, what version of Devil May Cry they were trying to sell me. You get me? What version of this were you trying to show me? And because I come from the background of playing the games, that's like how Devil May Cry has existed pre-now, you get me? And obviously the anime that became out before. You feel me? I had to juxtapose the anime that I'm watching on Netflix against my understanding of the game. You feel me? Or the game's universe. And then that's when it kind of hit me. You get me? It's interpretation of Devil May Cry 3. You get me? It's not trying to be the anime that showcases Devil May Cry 3 Dante's Awakening, because you and I have played that game start to finish, and we've watched this anime. For it. You know what I'm saying? Read the mangas for it, you get me? And we've watched this anime from start to finish, you get me? You have to be on drugs if anybody tries to tell you or me that anime was trying to show me Devil May Cry 3 as I understand it, right?
Okay.
Because of that, it doesn't offend me as much. Because I now understand, well, not even now, like I very quickly came to understand that the version of Devil May Cry, the Netflix anime that I'm watching, isn't trying to show me the Devil May Cry 3 Dante's Awakening. You get me? Once I made that connection, I started to just like watch the Netflix Devil May Cry thing as its own thing entirely. When I say its own thing entirely, its own thing entirely. Like when I was watching it, I wasn't expecting it, like from like maybe episode 4. From the Devil Trigger in the Sky type shit, you get me? Once that happened, I was like, cool, this is its own telling, you get me? And through that lens, it doesn't offend me, you get me? If they were angling it or trying their hardest to make it seem like, hey, this is a direct one-to-one adaptation of Devil May Cry 3, I'd be like, nigga, get this shit the fuck out my face, because you butchered everything from the top down. You get me? But if it's its own thing, like if what you're trying to show me here is it's like your own version of Devil May Cry, like its own universe, this being the animated one, fine, nigga. You know what I'm saying? Havable. You feel me? Johnny Young Bosch can be Dante's voice. You get me? Lady can cuss in every other sentence. You feel me? Like, cool. Whatever. You get me? Because it's not the version of Devil May Cry that I would call Devil May Cry 3 Dante's Awakening. If it was trying to be that, that's when I take fucking mad umbrage. I would have mad issues. Mad issues. You get me? But because I very quickly came to the conclusion that, like, this is just their interpretation of that time period in Devil May Cry 3, I was like, okay, cool. This can be digested a lot easier now for me. You get me? It can get digested a lot easier now, because if it wasn't that, I would be fucking tight, because if it's not that, it fucks up so much. You get me? Like, it fucks up so much. And that's why I'm like, it's its own thing. That's kind of how I'm going to approach it, because it's the only approach I can take. It literally cannot be Devil May Cry 3 Dante's Awakening. It can't be that. You get me? So I'm like, you know what? Fine. I like it for what it is. The shit about it I didn't like was, how would I put this? You know, earlier on, yeah, like ladies fucking friends. You get me? Like,
humans?
you know, ladies friends.
Right,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Them niggas got packed the fuck up, rapid. You know what I'm saying? Like, rapid. I'm like, bro, you could have used a bit more staying power. You could have used a tiny bit more staying power.
Imagine if having like ladies squad actually back her up like on the bridge when all the other men were there, and you have this nice shootout thing with all of them there, and you know, whatever.
You feel me? I was like,
I'm gonna say they weren't pointless.
Like, no, at all. Don't get me wrong. I was like, hey, hear me. The devs weren't pointless. I just feel like you niggas could have had a bit more staying power. You get me?
Sure.
A tiny bit more staying power.
Sure.
But at the same time, I couldn't be up in fucking arms about it, because nigga, it's Devil May Cry. The fuck? We know who we came here for. You get me?
There's that,
we know who we came here for.
And I thank you for bringing up the ladies friends as well, because that's another thing that I really didn't get to like touch on in my review.
Yeah.
But it speaks to the point I was talking about in terms of the military invading hell and how absurd that fucking was.
Oh yeah, no, I mean,
you understand?
Well, if I may, you get me? Like, anybody that saw that part of the anime, that's played any Devil May Cry game, knows this has to be its own thing. Because in any of the games in Devil May Cry, the caliber of demons that be invading fucking like our space at any one time would have the military shook as fuck. You feel me? So that's why I'm like, this has to be its own thing. Yeah. You get me? So I'm like, through that lens, you don't offend me. You get me? Because
I don't know. I know White Rabbit is prominent in
he is in the manga. And fun fact, upon doing
Banes,
some reading,
I don't know.
Banes isn't a thing. You know what I'm saying? So Banes is like a dead ass just original character for the fucking Netflix thing. You get me?
Sure.
The White Rabbit does exist in the manga, and fun fact, it is the White Rabbit in the manga that tells him that Virgil's alive. That was a nice little touch. You know what I'm saying? Because obviously in the anime itself, spoilers, you get me? Go fucking watch it. You feel me? Yeah. But obviously when the White Rabbit tells Dante about Virgil still being alive, fun fact, it's actually him in the manga that tells Dante that Virgil's still alive. You get me? So I was like, you know what?
Hey guys, look,
cool.
We stuck the cannon.
You get me? I was like, you know what? If nothing else, cool. You feel me?
Yeah.
But that's kind of my overall thoughts on Devil May Cry. We were supposed to touch on Boruto today as well, boy, but that's gonna have to be our next pod thing. You feel me? But that's kind of my thoughts on Devil May Cry. Like, you feel me? I feel like I have more, but
yeah, you understand? Like, there's a ton you could say about the show.
Like,
it has good bits.
Definitely.
Action wise, it's pretty good. It's awesome.
What I'll say is this. I feel like, really quickly, you know what I'm saying, before we round this out, yeah? What I'll say is, I personally feel like the action was split pretty fairly between the, Dante and Lady. You feel me?
Okay.
I feel like the action was split pretty fairly between them, me personally.
Fair enough.
And the second thing I was going to say was, don't get me wrong, I like what they're doing. You get me? It's cool. It's your own telling. But be fucking careful, because you are doing shit that's going to ruffle a lot of game players' fucking feathers. You get me? Just the inclusion. Seeing niggas like fucking... seeing niggas like fucking what's the blue nigga called? Plasma. Seeing niggas like Plasma from Devil May Cry 1 next to fucking Akindo from Devil May Cry 4, my nigga.
Next to Ajna Rudy from Devil May Cry 3, next to the fucking Angela from Devil May Cry 5.
I'm just like, dude. It's like, bro, when you see shit like that, that's what I can't be offended by it, because I'm like, when I see shit like that, I'm like, oh, so we aren't doing anything akin to what like the games like proceeded. You get me? Like, we aren't going along the game route. Bet. I was like, bet, cool. Your own thing, do it. You get me? I was like, bet, because if you are even trying to jokingly tell me that this is supposed to even loosely mirror the games, you are fucking tweaking. If you are trying to tell me that this is like supposed to even closely mirror the games, this is as much of a fumble as like DMC was. You get me? In relation to being like Devil May Cry.
Right.
You feel me? Like, so like DMC, Devil May Cry, or like we're done with the black hair.
Yeah,
this is as much of a fucking misstep as that would be. If you men are actually treating the anime that you've created like it's supposed to be something that's attached to the games. No. Treat it like its own thing. You feel me?
You'd have thought Capcom would have learned from DMC.
Bro,
good point, by the way.
Bro,
you understand? You'd have thought they'd have learned that from the whole Ninja Theory debacle.
And this
you
is
understand? Listen, like, cool. Before we round that, I know we're gonna round that, right? But cool. The point you made about it being its own telling, yeah. Castlevania is its own telling. Because obviously the whole of Castlevania, the original one, which basically we were supposed to be rewatching, that was like Castlevania 3, I think. Don't quote me, right? But all of that takes place in a fucking castle. And we were having these man like journeying across fucking Waleki and all that kind of stuff. That's the kind of shit I was expecting from Devil May Cry 5. A very good story.
To that, what I'll say is this though, yeah? Because of the time period that we can guess that they're trying to show us in the fucking first season, right? I can understand why we didn't see more locales. You get me? Because in Devil May Cry 3, it's very city-based before you go inside the fucking Timony of Guru. You get me? And don't forget, even though it's its own thing, the time period of this Dante is still parallel to like DMC3 Dante.
Right.
You get me? So that's why I'm like, I'm okay with not seeing too many locales now.
I mean, so
right?
I think we're just gonna say DMC3 is now ticked off. Like we're not when this thing comes back, we're not like, doing anything DMC3 related.
Yeah, I don't expect to be seeing anything DMC3 related because of the way that you've chosen to tell this story. Virgil is already Nilo Angelo. Bro, when the season comes
Dante
back,
already has his devil trigger
and
again, knows what the sort of spar that
you feel me? And
all
again,
of that shit.
Like Virgil's already Nilo Angelo and didn't in any way help Dante get his devil trigger. Nigga, we is not talking about fucking DMC3 no more. You feel me? So when you niggas come back, we are done with DMC3-esque Dante, time period Dante. You're going to have to start showcasing a Dante that is now parallel to DMC1. You feel me? Parallel to DMC1. But obviously, like I said, boy.
Yeah, boy, we'll have to we will come back to Devil May Cry. Do not worry.
We'll spin back. You get me? But obviously, I feel like both, man, it goes without saying, lock the fucking for season 2. You feel me? Lock the fucking for season 2.
Definitely. All the problems I have with it, I will be watching season 2.
We'll be watching it. Overall, solid fucking show. You feel me? If you haven't watched it, go watch it. If you ain't played the games, Wagwan for you, bro. You get me? Wagwan for you, bro.
Shame.
You get me? I ain't gonna hold you, bro.
Shame.
Damn. Like if you watch the anime and then play the games, holy, bro. Holy,
Whiplash.
bro. Holy. But yeah, obviously, that's the Devil May Cry thoughts. Done damn near ate up the latter half of the pod. You get me? But I have no more thoughts. I have been Drift. This is KTT episode 32. My dog.
It's your boy BlackStarXero. Just call me Zero.
And we'll catch you in the next one. Love.